Good evening and welcome to the rest of the news. Our special guest this evening is Norris Shelton. And Norris, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Norris is with an organization called Descendants of American Slaves. And he is the president and founder. The other thing about Norris is that he ran for state senator this past November. And he was not able to win, but he did run. Okay, now Norris, we were talking earlier about the IRS giving certain people a hard time. Okay, and tell me what you think of that.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
It goes against what America is supposed to stand for.
Right.
And I don't understand how this could happen in this country, especially during such an important election.
Yeah.
See, I was in this election.
Yes, that's
I
right.
ran for state senator of the 33rd District in Louisville, Kentucky. So I was a part of this. And I've gotten reports that Descendants of American Slaves, which is a new political party, just in 2012, a new political party, and I'm getting reports that Descendants of American Slaves political party was also targeted. Now these are just reports I'm getting. I don't have any concrete evidence.
Yeah.
But when I heard that they was targeting purposely the Tea Party, it troubled me, because since I've been leading the American slave culture, Descendants of American Slaves, I have tried to contact and be involved with the Democratic Party, because most people say the Democratic Party helps black people and all this kind of stuff. So naturally, when we started out, we went to Democrats and asked them to help Descendants of American Slaves political party become a viable entity. And we were actually shunned by them.
Now, why do you think that is?
It's because of who we are. It's discrimination, open discrimination. It's because right now, Descendants of American Slaves and the leadership of Descendants of American Slaves are unaware of their proper identity. Right now, we think we are African Americans, which is absolutely wrong. The term African American is legal terminology used by the immigration services to identify Africans when they come into America to make money or have a better life or whatever. And they are certified as African Americans. I know this to be true. Now, I am involved with some true African Americans in my life.
But they never had slavery in there.
No, they never had. Slavery is not in their background.
I see what you mean.
Like, for instance, President Obama, he's a true African American. There's no slavery in his background. His wife, our First Lady, Michelle Obama, now there's slavery in her background. She's a descendant of American slaves. But the reason why I got involved with the Tea Party is because when we were putting together the Descendants of American Slaves political party, we wanted to align with some existing political party. And since the two major parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, would have nothing to do with us because of who we are, descendants of slaves, and wanting to be recognized as that. We don't want to be recognized as African Americans. We want to be recognized as descendants of American slaves for this reason. There's no way that we can upgrade the ghettos, hoods, or inner cities if you don't tell the people the truth or you don't know what type of people you're dealing with. We're dealing with the people, my people, who inherited a slave mentality. They call it the slavery syndrome. And, you know, I freely admit that, yes, I inherited it. But it can be overcome if it's acknowledged. And right now, America refuses to acknowledge that my culture exists, that we survived slavery, and now we have emerged as descendants of American slaves. We didn't evolve into African Americans. We didn't do that.
Well, now, this is very interesting. I never really thought too much about it, but I have heard you talking about this before. And so the question arises, what's the answer to all of this?
Well, the answer, I've written a plan how to get this mentality reversed. It's called the Descendants of American Slaves Renaissance Plan. And what I have here is the first step. This is called the Descendants of American Slaves Clearinghouse. And I'm working with the GLI, the Chamber of Commerce, and other places to start instituting the beginning plan so we can start helping the inner cities, strengthening the inner cities, and putting these people to work and overcoming this slave mentality. That's one reason why I came to the Tea Party. The Tea Party is the only party that would actually let us in the door. I went to my friends who are Democrats, and they asked me to hush up about this. I don't know why, but they made it clear that I was not supposed to talk about slavery. I assume, and I know it's because of shame, and in a lot of instances, it's because of fear. But this is something that needs to be straightened out in the political arena.
Part of the cure is to bring it out in the open.
It has to be acknowledged
Yeah.
before it can be overcome. You
Okay.
can't cure it. And you being a doctor, you understand how you have to go to the source of the source sometime to cure it. And that is why we have went to the source of slavery, to figure out who are these people that started killing each other? Who are these people that's raising all this hell in the ghettos and all these places? And so we figured out they're not African Americans. They're descendants of slaves. They have evolved from that point to this point.
And part of the problem with their lives and their thinking is their background as descendants of slaves.
Yes, it's hereditary.
Yeah.
And I know this to be a fact. I've written 6 books about this. The most prevalent book is America's Little Black Book. I think you have a copy of that.
Yeah.
I think you do. But this explains the slave mentality, how it came about, and the cure. But in order to strengthen America in this area, we have to acknowledge that there's a problem first. And right now, America doesn't want to acknowledge that there is a racial problem in America, even though, to my way of thinking, there's only one race on earth, the human race. And God created us all in His image.
Right.
We're the ones who need to straighten this mess out. And so some of us have to start telling the truth. And so far, the Tea Party seem like they're willing to tell the truth. So far, they seem like they're willing to just say what is. And that's why I've come to the Tea Party, to talk to them, because the other parties will not even talk to us.
I think that you know, the Tea Party and the Constitution gives everybody equal rights, and so I think, you know, you should have the same
Absolutely.
standing and
Absolutely.
as anybody else.
Right. When we ran, and you'll get to meet Mr. Owens. Mr. Owens and I are the 2 black people that ran on the Descendants of American Slaves political ticket.
Yeah.
There was a white person that ran on Descendants of Slaves ticket also. He ran statewide. We ran in districts. We ran because at some point someone has got to introduce this into the political arena. We're not represented. We are improperly represented because we're improperly identified. And as trivial as that sounds, it's huge when it involves the mentality of a people. I've talked to President Ramos at the University of Louisville about this also. This needs to be explored. They spend billions and trillions of dollars trying to figure out what's wrong in the hood and this, that, and other, when we need to be figuring out what's wrong with the people in the hood. Because this, these killings and all this stuff, even though it's across the board, it's concentrated with my people. We've started killing each other because of ignorance. We don't know who we are. And I'm one person who will say it, and I want to say it plain. We have a serious problem, America, and we better start coming to grips with it.
Maybe you could give us a brief overview of the solution as you see it.
The solution is very simple. Tell the people the truth. If our administration even knows what the truth is, and I know they do because I've met with our mayor, and I've met with him many times, and other officials, gave them free books, explained these things to them, and I don't mean to be bashing anyone, but at some point in time, somebody has to stand up and call it what it is. Now, to reverse this, you have to have a starting point. And that is why this here is latest thing that I've come up with. We create a clearinghouse so that we can start recognizing the people. So we can start separating them out. And I know in America you're not supposed to do that. In America we believe in inclusion. It's unfortunate that while we believe in inclusion, we're excluding descendants of American slaves by name. We're excluding them. So the first step is to create a clearinghouse where we can start properly training these people, my people, where we can start training my people to understand who we are. Once we understand who we are, we'll know what's wrong with us or what caused us to be this way. Then we can start correcting it. So I've come up with the clearinghouse. I have a price tag on it, step-by-step instructions of what to do once the clearinghouse is started, and how this benefits whites, blacks, and everyone else. It just doesn't benefit descendants of slaves. Naturally, you being a Christian, you understand. When you help one person, truly help them in the name of God, you're helping all people. So this is the first step, is the clearinghouse. My mission, as handed to me, was awakening, identification, and litigation. My mission is threefold. We had the awakening, which we shot a movie of it. We had the awakening, which was an alley cleanup. We had identification, which was held at the University of Louisville, where we properly identified descendants of American slaves properly. This was at the University of Louisville. It was a 2-day affair where we locked down and really got into it. Now we're coming into the phase where we get into the litigation, and that's why it disturbs me greatly what happened with this tax. You know, it disturbs me because that's a slap in descendants of American slaves' face. Because what I see, the way they was doing this was going to be excluding the Tea Party from certain things. And see, my people are excluded from almost all things by name. That's why I think it's important that I speak to this issue.
They say if your organization, Descendants of American Slaves, wanted to have a tax-exempt organization, and the IRS didn't want you to have it, they would discriminate against your organization.
Right.
And say, oh, well, send us another letter, send us another. It would go on for 5 or several years, and they maybe never would give you the tax-exempt status.
Now, we do have, Descendants of American Slaves is not tax-exempt. It is for profit, strictly. We was instructed to do this by the Transportation Department.
Okay.
American Slaves is a nonprofit. And this was done so that corporations who want to help
Yeah.
descendants of slaves would have a place to come to help and get tax credits. If you remember correctly, right before Dr. King was killed, he told his people, which I'm one of them, to go to the economic battlefield.
Right.
That is the economic arena.
Yeah.
That's Greater Louisville and all those places where all the money's at. That way we could get the proper finances to turn this thing around.
Right.
Naturally, he was killed before he could give us the rest of the instructions. That's why it became my duty, personally, because at that time, I'm one of the few black people. I was Negro then. That's right, after we was colored or whatever. But anyway, I was one of the few Negroes in industry. And when I became Manufacturer of the Year, that's when we collectively got together and decided that we needed to turn this thing around if we wanted Dr. King's dream to become a reality. Somebody had to pick up the torch and figure how we could get into industry.
Nora Shelton and Descendants of American Slaves, God bless you. Thanks for coming by, and Mr. Henry Owens III. And you're the Vice President of Descendants of American Slaves. And you ran in this last November election for state representative.
Right.
I wanted to see what your opinion was on some of these issues that we were talking about earlier, like the IRS and things like that. Do you have some thoughts about that?
When different administrations take over, they get rid of the other guys, or they try to.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those times when you're trying to get as many Democrats in as you can and put as many Republicans out as you can. So that's the way I look at this IRS targeting. I'm sure that y'all have been targeted. I'm not so sure about Descendants of American Slaves, in terms of us, because we don't really have a lot of finance and stuff like that. We do have a 501c3 organization.
But, it seems to me that there's a right way and a wrong way to get rid of people that don't like it.
Yeah, it's a way of doing it. But with the media, I think the media has played a big role in this also, and then the conservative radio and probably the television. I don't look at the television that much, but I've listened to a lot of programs concerning this particular, not just this issue, but concerning this particular issue. It's being played up because you're trying to protect your turf. So you have to, come up with reasons to fight back. I just think it's a normal process of politicians, to try to defeat the other persons.
But still,
it's wrong.
Yeah,
it's
we still have
wrong.
laws about
It's wrong.
right and wrong.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts about the Benghazi, where those 4 Americans got killed?
I think that's another one of those things that I'm referring to in terms of, one party against the other party, and you find fault, you find something that's weak in the party, and that was one of the examples. Usually, when an ambassador goes into these countries, he's just like this guy got killed, and it's tragic when anybody gets killed. But usually, the ambassador is there without any real support from military. He might have a few guards and stuff like that. But I was thinking about Prince Ferdinand. And, I think it was World War II or I, where he got assassinated. And he was out there like that in an ambassadorship role. And you're really unprotected. The president has guards and all this stuff too, but basically when you take on these responsibilities, it's just like in the position you're in. Some crazy person may do something that, they feel like that they're against your position.
Yeah.
And that comes with the territory in a sense, Now, as far as the man getting killed, I'm not, supporting the person getting killed, but you're really in that position is what I'm really trying to say.
Well, now, it seems that there are several calls. They thought that, on 9/11 that the terrorists were going to try to blow something up again, and they asked for protection. And
You're talking about Benghazi, right?
yeah,
Okay.
still talking about Benghazi. Seems like they were refused the protection that they needed. And then when the attack did come, they had armor, soldiers around there that could have been brought in to protect them.
Earlier, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently somebody told them, well, don't go in and help these guys.
It's confusing, especially when you got records that they claim are secret. So you never really get the real story. Everybody just spins a story. Now they're
Yeah.
spinning this other story. So it's kind of difficult to really pinpoint stuff.
What happened?
Yeah.
But the thing is, there are some people that were there when it happened, and apparently they didn't want them to testify and say what happened until just recently. Now they're coming out and say, oh, no, they had the wrong story. Like they said that movie caused all the problems.
Right.
And they said, no, the movie didn't cause all the problems, and we knew right from the start that it was Al-Qaeda and the Muslim terrorists, and, that was,
But I'm saying they were in the heart of a conflict.
yeah,
And a lot of stuff has been propagated all during history. I mean, during the history of my life, where we've gone into, and it's even a song the Marines sang, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. And we've gone in these countries and done things to the people, killed them. Millions have been killed in the Iraqi war. So you may get bad. I mean, if I killed your kids and stuff, you wouldn't really love me, Then you expect to love. Then I'm doing this for your benefit. So having good sense, the persons have resentment. Now then they come and start doing something to you, and then you do something back. And it's a constant conflict. I think that we need to withdraw from some of these countries.
yeah, but I mean, the thing is, they came and killed 3,000 Americans with the Twin Towers, and they started the whole thing. And so I guess a lot of
But,
people...
we start at that. We talk about the Twin Towers.
Yeah,
But we don't talk about the 10 million people that, the first Bush killed in Iraq. And then you kill 5 or 6 more million people in
oh,
Iraq.
you mean the Gulf War?
I'm just saying, not just the Gulf War, but the militarism that we have played on Northern Africa.
It's my understanding that the Muslim terrorists are the ones that are trying to control, take over, and enslave all of it. You know yourself right now that the Muslims are making slaves in Sudan right now of the black people
Right.
because they want to control them. And they say, look, you either obey our religion or we're going to cut your head off. That's part of the problem. And, there's this Holy Land Foundation trial they had about 5 or 6 years ago where they got actual documents from the Muslim Brotherhood that said they were going to try to take over America. They said that was in their own documents.
Right.
And they're going to try to get their people in high-level positions and try to put the Muslim law into this country and all of
I think
that.
a better question really is, why are we there?
Where?
In Africa or any of these countries. And a lot
Yeah.
of times, it's for resources that we like. We like that oil, we like the gold, we like the silk, and the minerals and stuff that they have. And we've taken advantage of these people. And I relate to them because I'm from somewhere.
Yeah,
And usually it points toward Africa.
yeah.
And then as an American, you know, it's difficult to talk about these things if you're not in any position of strength. You know, I got a military here. They go where they're told to go. The military does. So why do they have questions for our military people? Have questions for themselves? You know, when you're seeing your person getting killed, maimed, and harmed. But basically, it's the big business in America that's controlling all these wars. You know, the munitions, the whole bit. Is, you know. But I'd really hope that we could talk a little bit more about this United States politics as it concerns the descendants of slaves and the so-called African American in America today. I don't know if we had a question like that. You know?
Yeah.
But I know in Louisville politics, the problem we had was reaching the people that were supposed to be representing us. And some of them were African Americans, and some of them were whites. You know, like our governor, when he ran, he wouldn't even show up
to a rally or something.
In the black community.
Yeah.
You know, he was all over the rest of the part of the states, but he never came to the black community. And one prominent group that I remember, I think it's the Epicurean Club, or the Yearlings Club. They invited him. That was one of the groups that were politically active, and he just ignored them. And not just him. When I look at these bridges and stuff, this bridge where you walk your dog, you know, that's a $20 million project. You know, but we got housing in the West. I don't know if you saw the picture of Louisiana the other day in the news, in the black community where they shot some people, and it looked just like the west end of Louisville. You know, boarded structures, people not doing anything to try to correct it. You talk to the mayors, and they act like, you know, they don't even know what you're talking about.
They don't recognize there's a problem.
I sat face to face with him, you know. There's people that are being given millions of dollars. There's one lady, she got $1 million, doesn't have to even pay it back. But when these descendants of slaves come for finance to try to do things in the community, there's no money.
We appreciate you, and
I appreciate spending time with you.
Norris Shelton coming here and explaining this. We're all out of time. Tuning again next week for the rest of the news.